Welcome back, beautiful Heartland family. You're watching Next Door Your Safe, cozy space for everything about Heartland's heart, soul, and enduring legacy. Today, we are diving into a story that touches the deepest parts of who we are as fans, dreamers, and believers in second chances. We're here to talk about something we never thought we'd say again: Borden's return in Season 19, Episode 1. Yes, that is what I said. After seasons filled with heartbreak, flickers of hope, and the echo of memories that never faded, Ty is finally back. And no, this isn't just a stunt or a fleeting flashback, it's something far more meaningful. His return is a miracle, woven with grace, grief, healing, and the quiet, powerful rhythm of love. Before we mount up and ride into the depths of this emotional journey, I'd love for you to do 3 quick things: like this video, subscribe to Next Flying, and tap the notification bell so you're always in the loop for the latest Heartland stories and breakdowns. And please don't be shy. Comment below and tell me how you felt the first time you saw Ty again. What was your reaction? Did you cry? Did you smile through your tears? Let's hold space for each other and celebrate this moment as one Heartland family. Now, take a breath. Let your heart settle. And let's rewind time together. Ty Borden was never just another character. From the first second we met him, we knew he was different. A teenage boy with pain in his eyes and walls around his heart, Ty arrived at Heartland as a kid hardened by life, shaped by abuse, distrust, and survival. But beneath that rough exterior, there was a spark, one that Jack saw right away. One that Amy, slowly and patiently, helped to grow into something luminous. Guided by Jack's steady wisdom and Amy's gentle strength, Ty began to evolve. He was no longer just a troubled kid. He became a man of compassion, strength, and integrity. He learned to trust, to forgive, to love. We watched him become a devoted veterinarian, a steadfast partner, and the kind of man who would do anything to protect the people he cared about. And when he and Amy finally said "I do," it wasn't just a wedding. It was the culmination of everything they had endured, including the suffering, challenges, and healing. It was proof that love, when nurtured through hardship, can transform lives. Therefore, Ty's death in Season 14 was more than just a plot point. It was a loss that affected each and every one of us and every corner of Heartland. Fans across the globe grieved as if we had lost someone we knew, someone who had sat at our own kitchen tables. It was raw. It was true. It was heartbreaking. Amy Strong, brave Amy, was left to pick up the shattered pieces, not just for herself, but for their daughter, Lindy. Every time she rode alone, every glance at the empty chair at Sunday dinner, every smile that never quite reached her eyes, those moments told us just how deep the loss ran. But Amy carried on. She found strength in the love Ty left behind. She poured herself into her work, into raising Lindy, and into keeping Ty's memory alive with grace. And still, there was always a question. Always a what if. What if there was more to his story? What if love could stretch beyond the boundaries of time, grief, and even death? Now, in Season 19, Heartland gives us an answer, not with flashy drama or loud declarations, but in a way only this show can, with subtlety, depth, and emotional honesty. The episode begins quietly, but with an energy that something is shifting. Amy starts dreaming of Ty, not the kind of dreams that fade by morning, but vivid ones. Dreams that feel like memories. Dreams where she can almost feel the warmth of his hand brushing against hers. Where she sees his familiar smile flicker just beyond the edge of her vision. They're comforting and disorienting, a balm and a wound all at once. Jack, ever the watcher of the land and soul, notices strange things too. A lone rider in the far pasture, too distant to recognize. Horseshoes near the barn that don't match any of their current horses. Whispered winds that carry something familiar. And then, it happens. One early morning, as mist curls low over the ranch, a rider approaches. Each hoofbeat mimics the thud of a heart regaining its rhythm as the figure slowly cuts through the fog. Amy is at the barn, brushing one of the horses, lost in routine. Her movements are slow, reflective. And then, out of the corner of her eye, a silhouette. She freezes. At first, she tells herself it's nothing, just her mind playing tricks again. Another phantom born of too many sleepless nights and too many dreams that ended in tears. But something holds her gaze. She turns. She loses her brush. Her hands tremble. The rider gets closer. The curve of his shoulders. The way he sits in the saddle. The rise and fall of his breath with the horse's stride. It's him. Older, weathered, changed, but him. Amy's breath catches in her throat. Her knees weaken. A sob rises and catches in her mouth as she covers it with one hand. Her heart, stitched together so carefully after being shattered, is breaking open again. But this time not from sorrow. From something wild and beautiful and terrifying, hope. She steps forward slowly, eyes locked on the figure drawing near. And then, like a whisper caught on the wind, her voice breaks the silence. Ty. One word. Soft, fragile. But it carries the weight of every sleepless night, every memory, every moment of aching love. And in that breathtaking moment where time pauses and the earth seems to stand still, it's little Lindy who brings it all back to life. With childlike certainty and no hesitation, she runs forward, her arms open wide, her heart unafraid. Because she knows. She remembers. She sees her father. It doesn't matter that she was so young when she lost him. Some connections are ingrained in the soul, deeper than words, stronger than absence, and do not fade with time or memory. Lindy didn't need to remember everything about her father. Her heart had always known. With a joyful squeal that rang out like music over the quiet stretch of land, Lindy dropped the toy she'd been holding. She sprinted forward, letting go of any hesitation, and her tiny boots produced tiny dust clouds. Her arms opened wide, her eyes lit with a kind of radiant certainty only a child's love can carry. Ty dismounted from the horse just in time, barely catching his breath before she crashed into his arms. He scooped her up with a strength that belied his trembling limbs, spinning her around as her giggle spilled into the open sky. She clung to him with everything she had, as if her tiny arms could hold back the tide of lost years. And maybe, in that moment, they did. Tears slid down Ty's face without shame or restraint. He buried his face in her hair, breathing in the scent of earth and sunshine and something uniquely her. It was the first time in years that he'd held his daughter, and the ache of every missed moment hit him like a freight train, birthdays uncelebrated, scraped knees left unattended, bedtime stories left untold. The hollow years pressed against him, but her presence began to fill the void. Then Lindy, with that uncanny wisdom that often visits children who have known pain too early, lifted her small hands to his weathered cheeks. Her touch was gentle, steady. She whispered, "You came back," while staring him squarely in the face. She said it not as an accusation, not with sorrow or confusion, but with a kind of holy reverence. No blame. Without hesitation. Just pure, innocent love. And in that moment, something shifted, something healed. It was as if the land itself sighed in relief, the silence between the hills carrying that forgiveness like a benediction. Jack Bartlett was standing at the edge of the ranch's front gate, further down the path. His heart clenched the instant he saw Ty, a silhouette from the past, framed in the familiar dust and light of home. It was as though time folded in on itself. Years of quiet grief, of whispered prayers spoken into the stillness of the night, suddenly collapsed into a single, breathless moment. He didn't move at first. He was unable to. The sight of Ty, the boy he'd mentored, the man he'd considered a son, stirred every buried emotion he had learned to carry in silence. Jack had never needed grand gestures. His love was built on presence, on doing the hard things without needing recognition. But seeing Ty again cracked something open in him that had been sealed too long. As Ty approached, Jack's steps were slow and deliberate. Not hesitant, but full of the gravity of the moment. Without a word, he pulled Ty into a hug, strong and unyielding. It wasn't just an embrace. It was a declaration. A homecoming. A forgiveness that didn't need to be spoken aloud. I missed you. You're still my family. You always have been. Later, the two of them sat on the porch, the sun dipping behind the barn in golden streaks. Jack sipped his coffee, his voice quiet but steady as he talked to Ty about second chances. About how life has a way of breaking us, and sometimes that's what shapes us into who we're meant to be. His words weren't just for comfort, they were a gift. A roadmap for the long journey ahead. In Jack's eyes, Ty didn't just see an old mentor. He saw a father, a foundation, a reminder that even when everything falls apart, there is still a place to return to. For Lou Fleming, Ty's return was a storm of emotions she had never prepared for. She was the planner, the fixer, the guardian of order in a world that had lost its footing when Ty disappeared. In his absence, she had picked up the pieces held Amy when she shattered, wiped away Lindy's tears, kept the ranch running and the family together. She had done it all while building walls around her heart, convinced that letting hope in again would only open the door to more heartbreak. When Ty first walked up to the house, Lou didn't rush into his arms. She froze. Her breath caught. Suspicion and disbelief danced across her face. Her mind scrambled with questions. Where had he been? Why now? How could she let him back in, knowing what it had cost them the first time he left? The memories swelled up in her chest, the sound of Amy crying in the barn, Lindy asking where her daddy had gone, the weight of holding it all together. She had lived through the wreckage. And yet, despite the pain, despite the fear, there was a spark of fragile, flickering hope that maybe, just maybe, this could be different. Lou's eyes brimmed with tears, but she didn't look away. Instead, she stepped forward, wrapped Ty in a cautious, trembling hug, and whispered, "Welcome home." It was more than a greeting. It was a truce. A quiet surrender to the belief that healing was possible. That even broken things could be made whole again. Georgie had grown into someone T barely recognized, not because she had changed beyond recognition, but because she had fully become who she was meant to be. The fiery, impulsive teen, who had once found refuge at Heartland, had evolved into a strong, composed young woman. The independence in her eyes spoke volumes, but it was the softness beneath that strength that moved him most. When she saw Ty, Georgie didn't cry out or collapse into his arms. She walked toward him with calm resolve, her face open but guarded. There was no need for theatrics. She said it all in her silence. She stood in front of him and looked up with a sincerity of emotion that begged no explanation. She had learned to carry both love and suffering equally. Ty had been her hero once, a steady presence when the world felt like too much. And though the years had changed them both, that bond had never really gone away. She stepped into his arms, her hug long and steady, her breath catching in the shared stillness. When she finally pulled back, tears shimmered in her eyes, but she smiled a quiet, proud smile. One that said, "I see you. I'm glad to see you back. And I'm okay now." She had come, and gratitude for the part of her journey he had helped shape filled her heart. Ty saw not a lost girl needing saving, but a strong young woman welcoming him back with open arms and an open heart. Georgie's growth was a testament to the impact Ty had on her life, and to the strength of the Heartland family to carry on, and to welcome back their own, no matter how much time had passed. Tim Fleming had always been a man whose emotions hid behind a wall of stubbornness and gruff bravado. The day Ty returned, Tim's first instinct was to retreat into that hardened shell. His handshake with Ty was firm, almost businesslike, and his words clipped. "Good to see you, kid." However, the storm that was brewing just beneath the surface was visible to anyone who knew Tim. In the moments when no one else was watching, Tim's tough exterior cracked. From across the ranch yard, he stared at Ty with his fists clenched and uncleared, struggling with an overwhelming sense of guilt and relief. Tim had been angry for so long, angry at fate for taking Ty away, angry at himself for not protecting Amy and Lindy from that loss. And now, with Ty standing alive and breathing before him, Tim didn't know whether to punch him for the pain he'd caused or embrace him for coming home. In a rare, private moment, Tim finally let his emotions surface. His voice shook slightly as he told Ty, in a low, gruff tone, that family was messy, painful, and stubborn. Just like you, he said with a crooked grin. But it's family nonetheless. Then, awkwardly, fiercely, Tim grabbed Ty in a rough hug, clapping his back so hard it made both of them laugh through their tears. In that raw, unguarded moment, Tim showed that his heart, though scarred and cautious, had never stopped caring. Under the vast, starlit sky of Heartland, Ty and Amy finally found a moment alone. A sacred pause away from the overwhelming emotions of the day. They sat side by side on the familiar front porch swing, the wood creaking gently beneath them, surrounded by memories of what once was and the tentative hope of what could be again. Amy turned to him first, her hand trembling slightly as she reached for his. Ty's hand, calloused and warm, wrapped around hers with a tenderness that made her heart ache. The silence between them was heavy, not with anger, but with all the words left unsaid over the years. Finally, Ty broke it with a raw, broken whisper. "I never stopped loving you." Amy's tears flowed freely, then not just for the love she never lost, but for the years of pain and loneliness she had endured without him. She spoke of the nights she sat on this very porch, staring into the darkness, wishing for him to walk back into her life. Ty, his voice thick with emotion, shared the agony of being kept away, the impossible choices he had to make to survive, and the regret that haunted him every day he wasn't by her side. They didn't sugarcoat the pain. They laid it bare between them, the missed birthdays, the milestones lost, the dreams shattered. And yet, through the hurt, there was something stronger and undeniable love that had endured every storm. As the night deepened around them, Amy leaned into Ty, her head resting against his shoulder. And for the first time in a long time, she felt peace. Together, they didn't promise a perfect future. Instead, they promised something far more real. To rebuild. To recover. To love each other honestly, scars and all. In the quiet, in the brokenness, they found something beautiful, the hope of a new beginning. And there you have it, Heartland fans Ty Borden's emotional and powerful return in Season 19, Episode 1, and how every member of the Heartland family is forever changed by it. The love, the healing, the hope, it's everything we dreamed of and more. I sincerely appreciate you watching the video today on Next Door. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Ty's return and the emotional journey of the characters, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts. And most importantly, subscribe to Next Door for even more Heartland updates, breakdowns, and emotional stories. We have so much more Heartland content coming your way. So hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Stay safe, remain optimistic, and keep believing in Heartland's magic until the next time. See you soon.